Wrestling fans from around the corner, around the world. I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
It took him a second.
Always does.
Before we get to this great full-length episode of Memories and Legends, check out some of our great friends you can help support the cause to keep more Memories and Legends coming your way.
Infinity Key, a truly natural online language training experience. 25,000 minutes. That's what you'll need to invest. Invest 25,000 minutes with Infinity Key, and we'll build you a portfolio of language experiences designed to accelerate your personal progress. The coach will help you strike the right balance between passive acquisition and active application of your target language. InvestKey's algorithms and coaches guide you along the clearest, quickest path forward on your journey to fluency. Visit www.infinitykey.rocks for more information and follow Infinity Key on Facebook at facebook.com/InfinityKey.
He is the People's Champion, the Brahma Bull, the Great One. And this,
finally, The Rock has come back!
Is his story. Journey alongside the millions in this definitive guide to
The most electrifying man in sports and entertainment!
See The Rock.
It's just a man!
Like you've never seen him before.
But The Rock is cooking!
The World of The Rock. Available now.
Wrestling fans, check out our friends at Performa's state-of-the-art WWE Superstar and Legends Shaker Cups. They're 100% leak-free and shatter-resistant, guaranteed. Mix your powder using Performa's patented action rod technology. Check out new Superstars just added to the collection at PerformaBrand.com. I've had one on my desk every day since testing it out. Select your favorite WWE shaker. You'll be using yours every day, too.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans from around the corner and around the world, welcome to another installment of our hit series, Memories and Legends. I'm Dan Marotti, joined by
Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
Tony. The feedback has been tremendous. The fans love what we're producing. They're enjoying you more and more each and every week. A whole new generation of fans out there are becoming familiar with Mr. USA.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
It's real good. Remember, we had a very successful endeavor with our Corners Cure raffle last month. We have our Paul Bearer holiday headlocks coming for Christmas time because in the world of kayfabe, Santa Claus's GPS can't find every kid. So we need to update Santa's GPS to make sure he finds every kid. We're going to talk about that Thanksgiving night. That's a different story for a different time. Tony, this weekend, history is being created. WWE is presenting the Evolution pay-per-view in Long Island, New York for the first time ever. It's an all-women's WWE pay-per-view event. It's historical.
Long overdue.
Long overdue.
Long overdue. You know, I've been in this profession for over almost 50 years, if not more. And I hate to say it, but the women's never really got the same opportunity as the men. You know, history would tell you that. You can go on a lot of shows. You may see 2 women's and 20 men's. Even when they make action figures. I mean, the hardest action figure to find is a woman action figure. So they don't receive the revenue as far as royalties and stuff. So the men. So what the WWE is doing with women, in my opinion, is long overdue. They're the first organization that ever try to do anything with women, which is strange to me because 54% of the electoral vote is female. There's more women in America than our men's, and we don't give our daughters heroes. When you look at comic books, I think when I was coming out, they had one woman superhero, and that was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And that was it. Everything else was male. So we put this stigma out for many, many years that the male was the hero, the dominant one, and the woman was not so heroic and not so dominant. But now that Vince McMahon is shining a new light, the WWE is shining a new light on women, and I'm kind of proud of the move.
How do you think the fans are going to react to this, Tony? The tickets didn't sell out immediately. They didn't get off to the best of starts. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I think there's a large percentage of the general population that really don't like to watch women fight. And I also think, as far as wrestling fan goes, they still use the women's matches as a bathroom break. It certainly has got better over the past 3 years since WWE really started to push the women's evolution, the name of the pay-per-view, as a matter of fact. The athletes continue to improve and improve that they bring up from their developmental program. Ronda Rousey has certainly become the face of the division, a movie star and a UFC superstar. Charlotte Flair is an exceptional athlete, represents them well as a champion, amongst others. But and I'm one of them, Tony. I think it has been overpushed. And my fear is that these great athletes at some point are going to get a John Cena or a Roman Reigns treatment.
That's because you're an old fogey.
I'm an old fogey.
You're an old fogey.
Why is that?
Because if you look back in 1890,
I'm not talking about 1890, Tony.
The transportation was horse and buggy.
Right.
And there was a lot of old cowboys that was against the machines
Yeah.
and the train and against cars and against a lot of things of the turn of that century, the last century. Now we're going to have people in this century. Remember, this is the beginning of a new century.
Correct.
By 2020, 2050, it's going to be more and more acceptable. When I remember in 1980, when a woman walked into the weight room for the first time, there was no women lifting weights in the 70s. Bodybuilding for women started in the 80s. Women came into the world of bodybuilding. There was a lot of people that even today, believe that women should not lift weights. When I met Chana for the first time, I told her, I said, man, you look great. You must have worked real hard to get that physique. You look fantastic. She started crying. I got scared because I thought that I would, say something wrong and scold her and say, oh, don't worry about it. He said, that was the nicest thing anybody ever said to her since she's been here. So what women do when women start moving up the ladder, they kind of mess with a male ego a little bit. For many, many years, we got this certain thing of where a woman should stay in her place, pretty much. Deep down inside, a lot of us, we don't realize it. In a way, we're sexist. And the most sexist people I've ever met in my life, believe it or not, is not men, but women. My wife believed that women shouldn't lift weights. She said, what do they want to do, try to be men if they go to the gym and lift weights? You hear women now, oh, she want to be a man. Anything that a woman do that is physical, she gets associated with being a man because we've been programmed that a woman place is to do this and a man place is to do that. So whenever women started moving, like in the world of wrestling, I mean, women have been having this problem for years with people with the mentality that women should not be. There's wrestlers probably in the WWE right now that feel that instead of having an all-woman event, that they shouldn't even have women in the ring at all.
Well, here's my philosophy. I think good professional wrestling is good professional wrestling. I was at the WrestleMania show in New Orleans this year, and they had Charlotte against Asuka from Japan. And I said to the person I was sitting with, I said, you know what, this wasn't a good women's match. I said, this was a great professional wrestling match. When you get the girls in there that can have a good match, where you don't look at the gender, those are the girls I want to see get in there and go.
Of them all over
but
the
no,
world.
Tony, there's a lot of them, their offense is pathetic. If the man executed the moves as bad or as weak-looking as some of the girls do, the men would be crucified. It's almost like a lot of the women, it's like they're going to get a participation award. You did good, you tried, you worked very hard, cry. Now it's your chance to hold the title, and everybody will get a chance. And I'm not a fan of that.
Well, no, not now at the beginning. If you watch a plant grow, that rose bush don't look too pretty when they poke his head up out the ground, just like a little stem sticking up there. But then a couple months go by, you got big, beautiful roses. You have to give it time to grow.
Well, I've been watching
And-
wrestling
and I
since
don't think that-
1986. I've seen it
And
grow.
I don't think that the WWE would take a chance on anything without getting the data first. You see,
That's John Cena Sr. right there. Once he heard women,
well, see,
he's
we
piping
have to
right in.
we have to do something to help our daughters.
and I'm for that.
I mean,
I'm
what-
for that. What I'm
what
saying is I
item-
think it dilutes the two programs, Raw and SmackDown.
No,
I think there's
no,
too
no,
much
no,
of it.
no, no,
I think the ratings speak for themselves.
Oh,
But you know,
wait.
a lot can be said for the reason why WWE's television ratings are down, but I honestly think if there was a more aggressive male style and the women were given their own individual platform, I think the fans that love women's wrestling would flock to it. I think it would be successful. I think Evolution is going to be a very successful pay-per-view.
WWE is going down because it's becoming too commercialized. I could be sitting watching a match, and a commercial come on. I could go in the kitchen doing that commercial. Now you ask anybody to watch it. I could go in the kitchen doing that commercial. I could fix myself some pea soup. I could bake a ham. I could bake a cake. I could even eat it during the commercial and not miss a lick of it. When I was wrestling, we had interviews, but the interview wasn't 15 freaking minutes.
Right. Too much.
I mean, you know, if you sit and watch how long a match is, and then when they do get a good match, they cut it to put a commercial. They start off the first 30 minutes of the program
The long
is
interview.
talking.
Yep.
People want to see some action.
Right.
It becoming too. It ain't got nothing to do with the women.
I think it's a fair statement to make is that just other than someone like Brock Lesnar and Undertaker, everybody on the roster is overexposed. There's too much access to them on free television. There's not enough incentive to go out of your way to find them if you know you can find them each and every week.
Well, you know, it's another old saying too. Once a book been read, is old. You see, at one time the WWE main object was to put every promotion out of business, which left no competition. See, when promoters work together, you could bring a guy from Charlotte that was very, very popular in Charlotte, North Carolina, but have not been seen in New York City. You could bring him to New York City and do vice versa. So you always able to swap off on talent.
Right.
Now you don't swap off on talent.
There's very little places WWE can go.
They limited to how many employees, how many people they could put on that within that in that program. The reason that we became legends, when Tony Atlas was wrestling, Tony Atlas was on TV every week. There are employees right now with the WWE that probably been there for a year and nobody's seen them.
There are undercard guys. That's a problem. There isn't enough of a mix. You have the
not enough.
guaranteed top
How
guys.
often you see a big star like Randy Orton? How often you see him? And plus, the rating is falling down because he can't feed the monster. In my state of Maine, Vince come once every 4 or 5 years.
That's not true.
He come once every 3 or 4 years.
He's in
yeah.
Maine every year.
No.
Yes.
No.
I'll debate you on that
What
one,
you talking
my
about?
friend.
What 300? What we gonna do? Think about wrestling for 355 days?
That's a good point.
In the older days, we was in Boston how many times? You look
Every month.
Just about every month.
Every
we was in
one
Boston.
Saturday
we
every
kept-
month, yep.
We kept feeding the beast. You see that there's a lot of stuff what they didn't participate that had happened to the world. You have other things to watch. You have other things to be interested in. When I was at the start, it was boxing, wrestling, football, basketball, baseball. They were the 5 big major sports events on TV. Wrestling was one of them. Now with cable television, you got 100 and some stations to watch. Back when he was making his big thing, he don't have the revenue. He don't have the people to keep everybody fed. People lose interest in it because they don't see it enough to stay interested. How can you be interested
Well, there's a
in
difference
lifting weights?
between live events and watching it on free television. There's plenty of free television for people to digest.
But it's not the same thing.
Well, we're
was
talking
on
about
TV.
two different
we was
things.
we was on TV every week too.
You were in enhancement squash matches,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
did
yeah,
2-minute
but
promos.
still, we was on TV every week too. But the thing, it was a different that we was able to go to these towns, talk to these people. These people was able to go out to see the match.
I understand
It's just
that.
like Foxborough here. If the New England Patriots played in Foxborough once a year, how many fans would still be interested in the Patriots?
Fair enough point, but we're talking about two different things.
No, entertainment is entertainment, brother.
Well, I'm
You just-
talking about
you
a
just sell it
television
different.
product. You're
But then we're
talking about a live
with-
event
with
product.
the
They're two
MFL
different things.
The MFL is a television program,
They are
is it not?
correct.
But if they came to Foxborough once a year, I don't think too many people are interested in the Patriots.
Well, how about this? If they played on TV every week, would there be as much interest?
Yes.
You think so?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You
We
a football
disagree.
fan? You're a football fan.
I'm a football fan. I
They're
wouldn't
on
wanna
every week.
watch
I
it.
just watched the Patriots play last night. Was it Thursday night?
Thursday night.
Yeah, I just watched them play. You know, I stayed up to watch them. I'm a Patriot fan. But they feed their audience. They feed their audience. People go to Foxborough to see the Patriots because they know the Patriots are going to be there. How many people are going to be running to the gardens here wanting to see WWE? It comes once a year.
Well,
If that.
you could make the argument that that would build the anticipation.
No, because there's other things going on.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
the
that.
difference.
It's a
In the
different
older
world
days-
right now.
in
It's
the
a
older
faster
days,
moving
they
world.
adapt- the world is constantly moving. They're looking at UFC. They're looking at this. They're looking at that.
You
got a
can make that
24-hour
argument, but at the same time, if it's good, people are going to watch. If it's good wrestling with good storylines and good characters, the fans are going to watch. There's been proven time and time again with every time there's a boom in the
Out of
business.
sight.
If it's good, the fans will watch.
Out of
I
sight.
hate those arguments. Oh, it's Christmas. It's this.
out
It's
of
that.
out of sight, out of mind.
Fair enough. I guess we'll sum up this part of the conversation.
Because that's what made the people wrestling fans. You know, if you go somewhere with me, you hear somebody say, Tony Atlas, I remember when I met you at this match, and you signed my autograph, and you did this, and you did that. These are stories that these people kept them.
Right.
For since they was little.
Little kids.
Mark Henry told me a Tony Atlas story. Stone Cold Steve Austin told me a Tony Atlas story because they was able to meet this wrestler. Now you go to WWE, you know, this guy only gonna be here once this whole year, and he got a parking lot that is far away from you, and the only thing you can do is wave at him, and he wave at you. No memories.
Unless
Nothing to soak into this person. So the experience was not as great as it would have been if he had met a Bruno Sammartino, who would have gave him a hug, would have signed his autograph, would have talked to him, would have joked with him, and he would have met and touched Bruno. That what made wrestling different than football player, basketball player, and baseball player, because they could actually come in contact with us. Now that the wrestlers are separate, it's a difference. Kind of like looking at a girl in the Playboy magazine and then looking at a lady in your bedroom. You don't think there's a difference?
there's a difference.
Same thing with the fans.
Well, like I said, Tony, I'll sum it up with this. I hope WWE's Evolution pay-per-view is a giant success.
They need more wrestlers.
I hope
put
they're
on
going to
more
have
shows.
they're going to have 50 women wrestlers in Long Island, New York. When your good friend, your fellow Hall of Famer Mark Dustin and the
Yep.
board of directors found out about 50 women in one place in one night in wrestling gear, he's headed to Long Island now. But I'd like to see it be a success. I'd like to see it be separate.
Yeah,
I
see,
would
he
enjoy
bought-
it more separate if I knew that's the content I
When
was
he
going to
bought
get.
these companies, he should never close them, in my opinion.
Correct. Oh,
We had
without a doubt.
WCW, keep WCW going. Because that way people in the South got to see more live wrestling. Let WCW run CW territory. Don't close it down and then try to run it show up once in a while and think the fans not happy with that.
Right. And it was a
They
flop.
may be happy with it. They may be saving money. They may be making a lot of money the way they're doing it. But if for the fans are concerned, they want to, like a stock car race. They go to a stock car race. They're not losing fans for years and years and years because they never change what they do. You had the
a really
Indianapolis
good point.
500, right?
Yeah.
But what if the Indianapolis 500 be the only stock car race in the world? People will lose interest pretty soon in that. What if the New England Patriots and New York Jets are the only two football teams in the world? People will start losing interest there. It's not enough to grasp everybody. Everybody want to feel what it feels like to be in that arena and cheer the hero on. And he took that from them. And they could cheer, but in the state of Massachusetts, they got maybe 3 days a month to do it. The other 20
Very
some
fair,
days.
very fair point.
Yeah, and people in Maine used to get to see wrestling at least 3-4 times a month.
Oh, it was a regular pit stop for
It
them
was
every
a regular
month.
pit
Yep.
stop. Yeah, Boston was regular. Madison Square Garden every
Every
first
3
Monday.
weeks.
Every first Monday.
I thought it was every 3 weeks.
No,
Well, maybe
every
they
3
changed
weeks,
it as
every
time
3
went
weeks
on.
was our TV.
I got you.
Yeah, we did TV tape every 3 weeks. But we did the Garden the first Monday of every month. So the people in the 5 boroughs got to see wrestling and experience wrestling. It's experience what they go there for. They got to experience wrestling 12 times a year. Now Madison Square Garden it'd be 1 time.
MSG usually gets 2 or 3 house shows a year now. I mean, it is what
Why
it
do you
is.
think it was so easy for Coley Rose and them to get that garden? Couldn't
Well,
nobody do that for years?
We're going to be talking about that. That's a very interesting
Well,
topic.
the
But
reason
Tony,
is because it's vacant.
all right, well,
the garden
we're,
need to make money.
We're going to
People
get there.
want to see wrestling.
We're going to get there,
Vince
brother.
left it vacant, so Cody said, well, what the hell is vacant? Every arena, believe it or not.
I'm gonna get you
I know
there,
in
don't
a hurry.
worry.
I know you're in a hurry. But believe it or not, in my opinion, now I could be wrong, Vince is more vulnerable now than he ever been in any time of his life.
Absolutely. They have more
The
money
reason
coming
is
in than ever
because-
before.
Well, because he leaving so many starving fans. You can't feed everybody with 1 loaf of bread like Jesus did. See? He got to get more loaves. The only way he could save his butt, let Sean run WCW, get that up and going again, open up some of these territories where we got more wrestling going on. And when you do that, people will be more satisfied. I don't want to see a hamburger on TV and then go looking for it. But why is I'm watching this commercial? You know, we don't have a McDonald's in our town. It's like when I see these Red Lobster commercials, I don't like them. I love Red Lobster. You know why I don't like the commercial? In Lewiston, Maine, there ain't no Red Lobster.
I like the rolls
The
at Red
Golden
Lobster.
Corral. How many times you see the Golden Corral?
There aren't any around here.
Ain't none around here. So you're not interested in
Right.
it because people don't want to tease themselves.
All right.
What they see, what Vince is doing on TV is giving them a tease, showing them something they could never have, that they're not going to get.
So let me ask you this. You think the interest would be up if there were more live events
Yes.
on a regular basis?
Yeah, because you're teasing them.
That's
tease
a very
them.
interesting
you
philosophy.
show them
I'm gonna
something. You
put
show
that
them
in
something
the
every
brain.
week. How many kids would come up and you could ask people how many people met Tony Atlas? You put a thing on how many people met Hulk Hogan, how many people met Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know, and then you say, well, how many people met The Undertaker? How many people met Brock Lesnar? They hadn't.
I have not thought about it from that point of view.
They just get teased. Look at what we got. But you can't see it, you can't touch it. You go on and look at it from a distance. And where we didn't tease the fan, we showed them, we showed what we got to offer. Then they was able to come into our place of business, which was the arena, which would be, if I was selling food, would be a restaurant.
Right.
They would come into the restaurant and sample the food. So when they see a live match, they get to feel the excitement in the air. You can't feel no excitement with the wife and kids screaming and you're watching wrestling, and then a commercial pop up that is longer than a freaking match.
All right, you know what? I have never thought about it from that
tease.
point of view. That's why these conversations are so great, Tony. As far as we need to wrap up this segment, I can hear the music in the background. I hope the WWE Women's Evolution pay-per-view is a success.
It will be.
I hope at some point WWE really looks at giving the women maybe their own hour on Raw or their own individual program on WWE Network, because I personally might not be a fan of it, but there's a lot of fans that are, and I really think they'd appreciate it.
I got a dream match. See,
What do you got?
With that woman match, they should put me in there, put tennis shoes on them girls, and let them all walk on me.
You and Mark Dustin, the two of you. All right, wrestling fans, we're going to take a brief timeout. Back on Super Showdown weekend, we did a Hall of Fame name game with your buddy George the Animal Steele,
Yep.
Jimmy Snooker, and Bobby Heenan. When we come back, we're going to look at 3 great WWE Hall of Fame legends. We're going to get his input on what he thinks of them. It's going to be very interesting and very fitting at first for this weekend. Stand by.
I wonder what size shoe Ronda Rousey wear.
They're ready to take their rightful place amongst the literary greats. Who, you ask?
The New Day!
That's 2, it's the Book of Booty. Shake it, love it, never be it. It's the feel-good story of the rise of the new day. Loaded with games, trivia, coloring pages, and so much more. The Book of Booty. Shake it, love it, never be it. Available now online or wherever books are sold.
I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Let us tell you how the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation can help raise cash for your nonprofit cause. Experience the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation live in your city, throughout New England, the tri-state area, down through the Carolinas, out to our friends in the Midwest and beyond.
If your nonprofit organization is looking for an interactive turnkey experience while putting the fun into fundraising, you've met the perfect tag team partner to work with every step of the way.
The MWF offers a variety of packages for groups of almost any size, from our live events at the Boston Garden, the Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex, and the legendary Suffolk Downs, to high school gyms and function halls. We've presented live events everywhere and anywhere.
Since 2001, the MWF's mission has been simple: keep the kids off the streets. Under the leadership of President David Reese, we bring the superstars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow to your town. Not for a wrestling show, but an event that features action-packed in-ring wrestling, autograph, pose photo opportunities, Q&A sessions, and so much more. It's the best of sports and entertainment. The week of your event, we can add on to the endeavor with anti-bullying campaigns, library meet and greet reads, youth sport concussion seminars, and more.
Our live events are fit for fans of any age from 5 to 95. This fall is part of our new Kids Club program. We offer live event experiences exclusively for the youngest of fans. On the flip side, we can produce a tailor-made event for fans of an older demographic as well. We work with you every step of the way to get the word out to fans near and far on our local television offerings and to over 50,000 fans and growing on our social media platforms.
Your success is our success. If your group has had enough of candy bar and wrapping paper sales and has the energy to team with our passionate fan base, bringing the NWF experience to your community is the answer to put smiles on faces while raising cash for your cause.
Contact us today to get the ball rolling for your custom-made event that you'll want to bring back year after year to your community.
Don't just take it from us. Here are the folks we've teamed up with in the past.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to Memories and Legends. It's WWE's Historical Evolution Weekend. I'm Dan Marotti, joined by my buddy Tony Atlas. Tony, people love when we play the Hall of Fame name game.
Okay.
They love when we run through these different legends from different eras. They love your opinions on them.
I'll try to be honest.
The first one tonight, I know you have some experience here, fitting for the weekend we're at with Evolution. A WWE Hall of Famer in the class of 2010, one that caught a lot of people by surprise, considering how she left the promotion, Wendi Richter.
Wendi Richter, I first met her in Georgia. She paid her dues. I don't know why people were surprised for a former woman world champion. If it was a male world champion, there'd be no surprise. But she would have, you know, she was at the time when music, when WrestleMania really was part of the foundation of what we see today. You know, with her thing with Cyndi Lauper and Captain Lou Albano, and it was the beginning of music video.
The Rock and Wrestling Connection.
Yeah, you know, and you know the music, MTV just started during that time. So she was in the right place at the right time with the right people, and she was the right person to do it with. You know, she was big, beautiful, very good wrestler, very hard worker. You know, she has some problems with, as we say, the office, because due to the fact she was a pioneer in the women's division, when a woman spoke up, she was not looked upon as a businesswoman. She was more looked upon about, she was a bee. I hate to say it, but that's...
You mean, I'll say it, you mean a bitch.
Exactly.
Okay.
So women, any woman that spoke up about her money, spoke up about anything, she was automatically classified as a B. And Wendi Richter, one of these type of women, that when she see an injustice, or she felt that she should be given opportunities, that she was denied these opportunities, she was scorned for having a voice. So Wendi Richter is a very strong, intelligent woman that spoke up not just for herself, but for other women. I know the last time you talked to me about Moolah. You know, if it wasn't for Moolah, in my opinion, half of the women wrestlers would have been pregnant. You know, they would never had a
Moolah
career.
kept them on the straight and narrow.
Moolah kept everybody on the stiff
Well-
nerve. And nobody, now here's the funny thing, Mae Young, as great as Mae Young was, and as great as Moolah was was world champion for how many years? 20-some years?
28 years, I think.
28 years.
In the history
and
books,
nobody
at least.
knew who in the hell this woman was as she hit her 60s.
Right, right.
That tell you about women. But if a man had been champion for 28 years, we know who was champion that was only champion for 1 year. Tommy Rich, not even a year.
A week.
Me and Rocky Johnson, we were champion for 1 year. People know about us. But if we were the first female champion, black champion, female tag team champion, me and Rocky would not even be spoken about. That's why I say what they're doing for women now, I think it's a great thing because they've been held back.
All right, let me ask you this, Tony.
And we never see what they could do because we never turn them loose. Like for a long time, when black athletes came into sports, people had their decision that, well, they can't catch the ball. You can't have black quarterback. You can have running back, but not quarterback. You can't have black coaches because their brain don't function. Even in the U.S. military, where you can't give them guns because they won't fight. So we always had these stigmas of what a person can and can't do. But the best thing to do is give them a chance. Give them a chance.
All right, well, we'll go back to that time frame, Tony. MTV was a phenomenon when it launched on cable television. And I think professional wrestling was a great fit for it, the way it was presented in the mid-1980s.
Yeah, that's right.
The larger-than-life
Market
characters
wrestling,
and
baby, that's
personalities.
right. Yeah.
Do you think Wendi Richter was the right choice to kind of make the face of women in WWF at the time?
Of course she was. At the time.
She would have been your choice.
Yes, she would have been my choice. We see, we didn't have a lot of women that was interested in wrestling because there was no place for them. Mm-hmm. They didn't get work. Like I work the independent shows now. I may work a whole month of independence every week for a year. And within a year, I may see one woman match. Name what promotion. You look at all the promotions. Go on the computer. Anybody out there, go on the computer, look at all the promotions. They don't use the women. So women don't get interested. They lose interest in becoming pro wrestlers because the only people that will use women wrestlers are Vince. That's it.
Well, he does the best job with them by
He's
far.
the only one.
Well, no, Impact has a women's division. Ring of Honor has
They don't
opened up
use
a
them the
women's
way Vince
division.
use them?
No, but like in the
Well, you
earlier
see
segment,
one
I
match
think
on
they're
Impact?
Well,
One
I
match?
think one
You
match
see
on a
this old
2-hour,
dried up-
3-hour
you
show
see
is
this-
plenty.
Yeah, you see this old dried up guy. I'm challenging him right now. What's his name? Jay Lethal?
Yeah, what about him?
Jay Lethal need to get in a wheelchair with me.
What?
Where my cane? Put the old Jay. Old Jay.
What about Jay?
He's too old.
Jay Lethal?
Jay Lethal, old grandpa.
He's younger than me.
You old grandpa too.
Well, that's a different story for a different time. We don't want to talk about that on the air,
You
Tony.
let me tell you.
It's a sensitive
I
subject.
challenge,
I'm not even 40 yet.
I challenge Jay Lethal
Well, what's
right
the
now.
problem with Jay Lethal?
I could do a moonsault better than him.
Where is this coming from? Why do you have an issue with Jay Lethal?
Because Jay Lethal should be manager now.
But did you have some kind of an interaction with him that went wrong?
I just
or-
knew I could out wrestle him.
He's a former MWF television champion.
I'm former WWF champion.
Well, you know what? That ranks a little higher
And
than the
NWA,
MWF by a smidgen.
And AWA.
But I don't understand.
And Puerto Rico. And Japan.
Is there something in the ring that you saw that you didn't like?
No, I like his wrestling. I think he's an excellent wrestler.
Is
I think
it a
he's one of
per-
the best wrestlers that best wrestling Impact should do. I think he should have been in the WWE years ago. Years ago.
Is it a personality conflict?
No, it's just that I know he's getting old. How old is Jay Lethal now? He got to be at least 60.
32, 33?
Well, he got to be in his 60s.
Tony, I don't know.
How long
whether-
Jay Lethal been wrestling?
Since the maybe 2003,
Oh,
2004?
he better go back further than that.
No, he's not that old of a guy, Tony. He's in his early 30s.
Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal, he did the Black Machismo gimmick in TNA,
Why he look so
imitating
old?
Randy Savage. You'd have to ask God and Mother Nature about that. I don't know the answer, but he's a young guy.
He's about as old as Ric Flair.
He did a great Ric Flair imitation.
See? How he know how to do that? He's old.
All right, Tony. We're talking about Wendi Richter,
Okay,
the Rock and
Wendi
Wrestling
Richter.
Connection. I certainly don't think Moolah would have been the one to try and resonate to that demographic
No,
on
but
MTV.
the point is, look how long she had to wait to get recognition.
Right.
I mean, she had to wait 28 years in order for someone
Well,
to
and that was
notice
just
her.
to show the power and control that she had over the industry, to keep herself
Well,
as the champion.
If she had more power and control, she'd been booked on more shows. I've been on a lot of shows with the NWA, Mid-Atlantic, Georgia Championship Wrestling, AWA, and she wasn't on none of them.
Well, back in that era, the women and the midgets were used kind of an attraction that would only come in a few times a year, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well-
and Vince is the first person that uses women on a regular basis. Every SmackDown show, every house show have a woman match. And that have never, we just looking at this one item.
Right.
But he don't only just do it on the television. He do it on in the shows too. When I travel with ECW, me and Mark Henry, you know, Nat and Lightheart and all the women, they travel with. When I
She's
went
great.
to Europe,
She's great.
We had a woman match in Europe. And Vince always had a woman match. WCW can't say that. AWA can't say that. NWA can't say that. And there's not an independent organization out there that can say that either.
Well, no, there are some independents
That
nowadays that,
use
are
a
focused
woman
more on
every
women's
show?
wrestling. Sure.
I ain't been on one yet.
All
I've
right,
been on
well-
the independent circuit since for 30 years.
Book him. He's great. He's
30 years
fantastic.
I've been on the
Visit
independent circuit.
BostonWrestling.com.
And
We want
once in a
Tony
while-
working every night.
Once in a while, I would see a woman match. Once every blue moon.
Well, let me ask you this.
That's why the women don't go for it no more, because where they going to go when they get the training? Who going to book them?
Fair point. But, Tony, Cyndi Lauper was white hot in the world of entertainment and music. Do you think any female could have got over strong with Cyndi Lauper attached to their hip? If it was, say, Velvet McIntyre, do you think she could have got over as strong as Wendi Richter did?
Nope.
Or do you think it was something special about Wendi?
Yeah.
Well,
For that time, she
Yeah.
fit. She fit. See, Velvet McIntyre was probably about 5'6". Randy was like 5'10". You see, back then we came up close and personal. And when they saw this 6-foot woman walking towards her, she's a wrestler. She fit.
pretty woman.
She beautiful and she tall. She fit. When Hulk Hogan came out at 6'7", 350 pounds, when people saw him go, whoa. Like, look at the impression people got from Hogan when he did a Rocket thing.
Right.
And Stallone looking up at him. That gave people
Put him
that
over
wrestler.
big.
See, Randy made Hogan and Randy made wrestler look bigger than life. She was taller than all the female athletes during that period of time. Hogan was bigger and taller than all the male athletes. The only person you can find that was bigger and taller than Hogan, you got to go on a football field or a basketball court. But there was no baseball player as big as Hulk Hogan back in them days. There was no women. There was no women's tennis player as big as Wendi Richter. So they had to do a lot of personal appearance. So a guy like these little peak squeaks they got now, you put them around, average women, and they would say, they got a little bit of the old thing, They'd be like little.
It's a very valid point.
Yeah, so that's why you have to keep the wrestler now separated from the fans, so the fans don't see how teeny tiny they are.
Well,
you know, they look very impressive on TV unless you see someone like Brock Lesnar or The Undertaker or Kane or Mark Henry. You know, you got some very, you know, McIntyre, you know, he's a monster. But then you got some that is not that impressive in person.
correct. There's a
See,
lot
you
of people,
get
they
one-
look like, when you see them on the street, they look like average Joes.
Not even that good.
Well,
Some are
phenomenal athletes, but the sport itself has lost a lot of size, and it's
Yeah.
lost a lot of, you know, just guys that look like tough men. Tough men, you know what I mean?
impressiveness. You know, when you meet a person in person, you want to feel impressed by that person. You know, you met your hero. Like when I met Muhammad Ali for the first time, I was impressed.
Right.
He impressed me. Great big hands, good shape, well dressed. He was taller than me too. He was like 6'3", you know. So I was impressed.
Right.
When I met Mike Tyson not too long ago, I was impressed. When I meet these people in person. And then when you meet somebody that you always were so impressed with on TV, and you meet in person, oh man, what a disappointment.
Well, let me ask you this, back to stay on topic with Wendy. She came from, as we mentioned earlier, the women were pretty much a side attraction that would go territory
That's
to territory, almost like the circus. Wendy went from being a girl that fit that classification
Right.
to some of the was a mainstream superstar on NBC with Saturday Night's Main Event, with MTV, which was for the 18 to 34 demographic. That was the cat's meow.
Yeah.
How did Wendy handle the stardom? Did she get a big head? Was she still low key? Was she the same person, same personality?
She never changed. When did she never change her position? She was always sweet and lovable and everything. I remember I was in 1989. Mario Savodi took me to this program out in Los Angeles where you go bid from television. I met Michael Landon, wonderful, 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 wonderful person. I met guys like Dick Clark, and you know the guys are not even around no more. And they had Hulk Hogan there, they had Lex Luger there with WCW, and they had Wendi Richter there. And they had lines of people getting autographs. Wendy had the same amount of people in her line
Wow.
as Hogan did.
Wow. And that was a couple of years after she left
Because
WWF.
young girls has no one to look up to. Look at the last Olympics. The women tore it up. They won just about every medal. How many of these women you see on TV making commercials and doing stuff? Look at the Williams sister. I mean, my God, they ain't never had women like that before. How many times people are using them for anything? Now
Fair point.
You take a Michael Jordan or a Tom Brady or Gronkowski. Oh man, can't wait to sign them up to advertise my product. Can't wait to put them on the cereal box. But then with the women, we still as a country have to come to grip that women could do whatever a man could do, only she can do it better.
All right. Well, Wendi Richter's time in WWF, as popular as she was, as her rise to fame came, it quickly went. Apparently, she didn't want to sign a contract that was presented to her at Madison Square Garden back in November of 1985. She was scheduled to wrestle the Spider Lady, but in a play similar to the Montreal Screwjob with Bret Hart and Shawn
They
Michaels,
screwed her that night, yeah.
the fabulous Moolah was surprisingly the woman under the mask,
Yeah,
hooked Wendi Richter for the quick 3 count,
yeah,
unmasked, it was Moolah,
Yeah.
and Wendi Richter was bullshit in the middle of the ring.
yeah.
Were you there that night? Tell me what happened, Tony. Take us into the locker room.
Just what you just said, and then when they came out hollering and screaming at Vince, she cursed him out right in front
What did
of
she
all the
say?
boys. I can't remember the exact words what she said because us wrestlers, you know, we been hearing stuff, but we kind of act like we don't hear because we don't want to get in trouble. Because one thing about wrestling, you can overhear something and lose your job even though you're not involved.
Right.
So what
Was
she
this
said-
this in a private room?
Well,
Was it
she
in the
called him
hallway?
a backstabber, a liar, and she said he was a liar. Then you know that you screwed him, you screwed me. You know why you screwed me? We were shocked too. Me and SD was there. We were shocked too because she was making good money. I mean, Cindy Lauper said because of Captain Lou Albano on her video, she got all the wrestling fans buying her video, And so it really opened up that channel.
It was a real connection.
Right,
It was
right.
a real
And
connection.
nobody could understand why.
Right. If you were Vince McMahon, would you have done that to her? I mean, you were in the, you understand if she wouldn't sign the contract, what would you have done if you were Vince? Would you have not put her on the show? Would you have stripped her of the title? Would you have done what Moolah did?
I would probably. It's hard to say because I have to know Vince's side of it too.
Well, I'm looking at it from Vince's point of
Right,
view.
right.
He needs her to sign a contract to make sure she's
Right,
with the company.
maybe that wasn't the time or the place, you know, trying to get somebody just before going in the ring to sign something. You know, if you're going to sign something, you should have a lawyer look over it.
Right.
I mean, she could be signing a way to be a surrogate mother to Vince's child. You don't know.
Right.
I mean, you get somebody in the dressing room and they're concentrating on their match. Then you come up and say, look, we want to redo your contract. We want to do it now.
Right.
Maybe
Wrong place, wrong time.
was not the place to do that with. I know now if Vince has his contract, he give you the contract till you go home and have a lawyer look over it. He does that now. But maybe if he had conducted business the way he do now,
it would be different.
It would have been different.
As far as you know, though, she was not difficult to do business with. Really?
No. She made every show. She worked her ass off. I was overseas with her. You know, great girl, wonderful girl.
Is it true that after she had the altercation with Vince in the locker room at Madison Square Garden the night they screwed her out of the title, she left the venue in her wrestling gear and drove off and went home?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Isn't that fascinating?
So, when women get angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Logic don't play a role.
Well, I got to ask this, Tony. The people love the stories. We had our good friend, the Iron Sheikh, or Khosrow Vaziri, in your seat here, in the infamous shoot that's been seen by millions online and wound up on the Howard Stern show. He was very angry with Wendi Richter because apparently a few nights Wendy would come to his room and share in some of his cocaine, but she wouldn't give the Sheikh any sex, which led the Sheikh to think that she was a lesbian. Like Rose, and even though he didn't know who Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres were in 1985, he thought Wendi Richter was like that.
No.
No. Did you ever travel with Wendy at all?
I traveled with Wendy.
Any fun memories? Any stories?
No, Wendy, like I say, she was an old Southern Texas girl from down south. She wanted to keep her respect. Why would she want to go to bed with Iron Sheikh? For what reason? Just because he was a wrestler?
So is she.
Yeah, but the thing about it, he wasn't attracted. She wasn't in love with him. You know.
But she took his cocaine.
What you think? Just because she's a woman, she should spread her legs for him?
She took his cocaine.
Well, I don't get what stuff. A guy would take it too. What, he want to go to bed with the guy too?
No, he didn't want that. He wanted a little Wendy.
But see,
he wanted to make her humble.
If I was him, I would be ashamed to admit that I was a sexist.
You think the Sheikh is a sexist?
Yes. Yes, I would tell him. Anytime you expect a woman to lay down for you and don't expect it for no one but a woman, what else are you but you're sexist? He sees her in that perspective. He didn't respect her as an athlete. He didn't respect her as world champion. He didn't respect her as one of his professional companions. He saw her as one thing and one thing on, a booty call. So he overlooked everything she stood for, you know, to satisfy his own needs, which is wrong. I got daughters. If he had said that about my daughter, you know, I'd knock him out of his wheelchair.
All right. Well, Tony, I think it would be great if Wendi Richter made a surprise appearance at this pay-per-view, wouldn't it?
It'd be wonderful.
You talk about someone that really is if you were to look at the history books and say who was the first women superstar in the history of that company, when you look at what a superstar is by their definition, Wendi Richter was the first women superstar. I think she belongs at the Evolution pay-per-view.
Even if you look at China, I mean, how many times you seen a woman look like that?
Right. Well, that's China's. We'll get to her at some point.
And how much? And what was done with her? She was kicked to the curb like a bad habit.
Well, she didn't help the cause.
Well, there's a lot of guys. See, there's guys did a lot worse.
Well,
that's where the problem comes in.
I was around WWE when that went down, and she did not help her cause whatsoever. But
then what she did was so wrong.
Well, just from the financial point of view, what she was trying to hijack the company for.
What, just ask for more money?
She wanted Austin and Rock money. She wasn't worth a fraction of what they were getting.
She didn't want that much.
She wanted Austin and Rock money. She was very difficult to deal with. And like I said, from 2000 into 2001, I was interacting with them on a regular basis. And that went down, I think, with her in maybe May or June of 2001.
I don't think she won that much money, but I see.
Well, we can talk about that at a different time.
Right.
I just want, go ahead.
Every wrestler wants to make enough money
Sure,
to
absolutely.
live up to the standards that they put you in. For example, let's say the WWE give me a contract right now
Right.
for $100,000 a year.
You're looking
That-
at maybe 60.
Not even that, because see, on the road for one day, the average wrestler, he got to get his rental car. That's $90. You got to get a hotel room. That's $200. You got to pay for gas and food. The only thing that WWE paid for them guys is the plane ticket. But unless you somebody special like Undertaker or somebody like that, you got your own expenses. But not only you got expenses on the road, you got expenses at home.
Oh, sure.
So they got to save so much money home. They got to keep 2 homes at once.
Right.
So $100,000, you are lucky if you save 10 of it out of 100.
Well, we talked about wrestlers'
so
pay
this
back
guy,
on our Hulk Hogan
to
episode.
most people,
Yep.
$100,000 is a lot of money. Not when it costs you $300 a day to make the show.
Right, right.
You know, you do 4 days, that's $1,200 gone.
It's an expensive week before you've seen a penny.
Out of the $2,000 that week, you spend it $1,200 to make the show. You got $800 to send to your wife and family, pay your taxes.
All right, well, Tony, nearly 25 years after what went down with Wendi Richter and the Spider Lady, the first WWE screw job at MSG, Wendy was invited to Phoenix, Arizona to be inducted into the 2010 class of the Hall of Fame, and she accepted. Do you think it was a good thing that Wendy made peace with WWE in some capacity to attend that event?
Of course.
She was very
Of
deserving,
course.
in my opinion.
Yeah, but see, when you get inducted in Hall of Fame and you refuse to do so, you let down all the fans. How many young girls out there would sit there and say, look, a woman made it into the WWE Hall of Fame. A woman. Among all the men. When I was there was one woman that went in, the Sensational Sherry. That was it. Everybody else was men. You look at it now, there's one woman. Every Hall of Fame, there's one woman.
Well, I don't think there really needs to be more than one woman. If you
Well,
look at the
because-
history of the business,
Well, that's my point. There ain't that many women that made it to that level to
And
be
Wendy
a
did.
Hall of Famer,
Wendy did.
and she did.
All right, Tony, right now I hear that music playing. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we're going to continue Tony Atlas's Memories and Legends Hall of Fame games. Stand by.
See the moments
Generation X invades WCW.
you'll always remember like never before.
Occupy Raw has taken over.
With Raw, the first 25 years, packed with rare photos, profiles of your favorite superstars, and so much more. From the very first Raw to the 25th anniversary, it's the ultimate guide to WWE's flagship show. Raw, the first 25 years. Available now.
Charlotte on Monday, October 29th. The new era Monday Night Raw returns. Witness Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose reunite as The Shield when they collide with Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin in a massive 6-man tag team match. And don't miss Alexa Bliss and many more of your favorite superstars live. It's WWE Raw live in Charlotte Monday, October 29th. Tickets and ringside packages are available.
I'm the Boogeyman, and I'm coming to
Happy Halloween. I'm the Boogeyman. You have yet to be seen. Trick or treat.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to Memories and Legends. We've discussed the WWE Women's Evolution pay-per-view. We discussed Tony's good friend Wendi Richter. Now we're going to talk about a man that Tony feuded with, wrestled in some of the biggest arenas in the world, a man that he teamed with on certain occasions. former WWF World Heavyweight Champion, a man not only very recognizable from the world of professional wrestling, but from the children's version of Hollywood, Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant Slaughter, I saw him about 2 weeks ago. We was at a convention together, and Slaughter was the type of guy that really served our country. Him being a Marine was not made up. He was being himself. But I think that Sergeant Slaughter really captured the world when he went out in the middle of that arena and he put his hand over his heart and took his hat off and did the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. That is a memory that I would say that was the biggest moment of his career. For some reason to see him do that, and you could feel the energy in that building. That had to be the best of all the stuff that they was doing during that period of time. It may have got swept over and not dealt with as much as it was. There was not one person sitting. Everybody in that arena stood up. The boys in the dressing room stood up. It was a magical moment. Also, Sergeant Slaughter was the person that gave me my finish move.
Really?
I was wrestling him in Baltimore. My finish, I worked with WWE, it was WWF.
Worldwide Wrestling
Right.
Federation.
My finish move was a sleeper hold.
Really?
It was a sleeper hold. And it was a high spot by press down. I lift Sergeant Slaughter over my head. He was about 270 then. And the place came unglued. And on the scolding, when I came back, he said, I told Vince what you did. He said, whoever you could, as soon as you pick somebody up like that, he wants you to pin him right there. And I said, pin him? I said, I use a sleeper. He said, didn't you hear them people? He said, when you pick a man up with your head, he said, these people go nuts. He said, that is your finish.
You didn't need more.
That what Honor Scholar told me that night. So from that night on, so Sergeant Slaughter was the first guy that I pinned with the press slam.
Really?
Yeah. I press slam people in Georgia Championship Wrestling and Mid-Atlantic, but I never pinned them with it. It was a high spot.
And then it became the new finish.
After I press slammed Sergeant Slaughter. So he was the one that gave me that thing. And plus, we did a lot of charity work. I did a lot of, at the end of his career, me and Sergeant, we got to know each other very, very well. We played golf together. He's a hell of a golfer.
Is he?
Very good golfer, very, very good golfer. And he still worked with the WWE, in fundraising. He's a good real ambassador to the WWE. But he's a hard-working man. Nobody that I know of could say anything bad about him. Whenever I was around him, he always treated me like a gentleman, always gave me the best advice possible, and tried to help me out a little fix here and there when he was an agent.
Really?
So I have a great deal of respect for Sergeant Slaughter. And maybe there's people out here that had different experience with him. But my experience with Sergeant Slaughter, all I can say about it, Slaughter, thank you for your service.
What was he like to work with in the ring?
Light as a feather.
Really?
Easy going, went along with every, you could call the spots and stuff. He was no problem. He was all business in the ring, all business outside the ring. He didn't carouse around as much like the other boy, with the girl chasing and drugs.
He wasn't a guy that wanted all the rats.
Right, no. He wasn't interested in none of that. He was, he felt that McMahon paid him to wrestle and to entertain the fans. And he did that to the best of his ability. And I can't see anybody have anything bad to say about him. He was down in Charlotte for a while. If you talk to Don Canuta, Sergeant Slaughter, they got along. He helped Don Canuta with his career. He helped me with my career a lot, when I met him. So I have nothing but praise for him. He's a veteran. He served our country. And, and I saw him a couple of weeks ago. He's in good shape, which made me feel good. And he sat there. And you ever meet him, it's a pleasure to meet him.
Nice guy.
Very nice guy. Very nice guy.
He worked for Tony Rumble a few times on shows we were
very
in.
nice. All polite, no problem.
Yep. Very soft-spoken.
Soft-spoken guy, easygoing. Yep. Wonderful individual.
Yeah.
And he deserved everything that the business gave to him. Lucky for him, like a lot of guys, like Wahoo McDaniel was not as lucky to be in the right place at the right time when the big merge took place.
Right.
And lucky for Sergeant that he was in the WWE during the time of the merge. Otherwise, he would got swept under the rug with Klondike Bill, Yukon Eric, and every other wrestler, Oxbaker, that didn't have the privilege of being part of the WWF at that time.
The forgotten legends.
Exactly, the forgotten legend. Otherwise, he would have been one.
How hot was the Sheikh Slaughter feud when they did that angle when he came out and put the hand over the heart? I mean, Hogan was on top at that point. He was white hot. Snooker and Piper were going at it. You had Andre and Studd and starting up with his feud with the Bobby Heenan family. But that Slaughter and Sheik angle was hot.
Sheik was number one heel.
Right.
You know, he was the number one heel. And Sheik and the WWE owe all that money to the all-total Homemania.
Well, you know what? The Sheik, and I tell you, there's a lot of Iron Sheik stories to tell. But his life in Iran before he came to the United States.
He was the bodyguard for the show.
What they did to his family messed with him.
Yeah.
Big time. And that's a story you'd have to watch our Iron Sheik shoot.
But see, that's how smart Vince was. He saw how the world felt about Iran during that time. And he got this idea to put the belt on Irania. If you had beat the Sheik that night, you would have been in the same spot Hogan been. He didn't have to do nothing out of that. That was it. He was made from one match. And I never see any heel in the history of wrestling that make a superstar in one night.
You know, this is very interesting.
Never happened before.
I want your opinion on this now you brought it up. When Sheik was here, and I had heard this from, I'm not quite sure who, but another WWF veteran, the original plan for that title change to transition from the Backlund era to the Hogan era was for Backlund to put over mass superstar Bill Eadie. And Backlund wouldn't do it because he didn't think Eadie had the credentials. So is it true, from what you remember, that Sheik was the second choice?
Yeah.
Do you think Hogan would have got over as strong as he did if he beat mass superstar for the title instead of the Sheik?
No.
I agree with you.
No, because the Sheik was on fire because of you got to realize they was holding American hostages then.
Right, yeah.
And like with Nikolai contract was up, and then the Russians shot down the Career airline. And Nikolai said, "Hey guys, I'm not leaving." They said, "Why?" He said, "The Russians just shot down the airline." He said, "I'm still here." So Vince pulled him back and teamed him up with the Sheik because of that deal.
All right. Well,
because he figured that the Sheik deal popped, that maybe he could pop the Russia deal with Nikolai. Like I became Saba Simba at the same time that they released Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
So Vince still always tried to play with this world thing.
Real life, yeah.
Real life. I mean, it was there. So Vince, being a smart businessman, he said, "Look how these people feel about this Iran situation. We wanted to go to war with them, remember?"
Well, I was just a baby back then.
Yeah, that's what made Jesse Jackson so big. He went over there and got the hostages out.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. Slaughter was great as a babyface, the great patriotic moment you spoke of. He was also a phenomenal heel. He cut such a great heel promo. He had that alley fight feud with Pat Patterson that culminated at Madison Square Garden. Did you like Slaughter better as a heel or a babyface? I think there was so much you could do with either one.
Well, you can't pair it that way. That's like saying, do I like John Wayne more as a sheriff or playing Chisholm? It's still John Wayne.
Right.
I like him when he played Chisholm, and I like him when he played True Grits. The character was not important at John Wayne. It was John Wayne.
All right, fair enough.
You know, I like David Allen Cole when he sang one song. I like David Allen Cole when he sang another song.
All right.
You know, I'm a country and western fan. So
all right. Well, let me ask you.
I like Hank Sr. and I like Hank Jr. I think I like Jr. a little bit better. I like Jr. Make it move.
All right. Come on, geez, Tony. Tony Atlas.
I don't know why you don't like Hank Jr.
I don't know Hank Jr. Sergeant Slaughter and the Sheik we talk about was white hot. WWF was white hot. The business was reaching levels it had never seen. And then all of a sudden, Sergeant Slaughter, a man known from WWF and the G.I. Joe cartoon at the same time, vanished from the world of WWF. The reason being that I've been told by many the superstars around in that era was that Slaughter was trying to get the boys to rally together and form a wrestlers' union.
That was Jesse Ventura.
Well, that was in 1986. That was after Jesse was before WrestleMania 2, from what I was told. Did Slaughter try and do the same thing in 1984,
Not that I know
1985? You're not aware of that?
No, he became an agent.
He didn't become an agent until the 90s.
Yeah, but I don't think he tried that, no.
Well, then how do you recall him leaving in the middle of that hot run? And they replaced him with Corporal
I was running
Kirchner.
by my own ass.
Corporal Kirchner was his replacement as the next military guy.
I know, but brother, I was on the crap list at that time too. You know,
it wasn't some of your fondest memories of that period.
I don't think I was worried too much about what's going on with old SARS because I was just trying to keep my head afloat.
Well, did you ever?
That's when Vince threatened SD to kick me out of his house, or he's going to fire the SD.
We did a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
We did a whole episode on that. But Tony, did you ever travel with Sarge at all?
Oh yeah,
Did you?
Yeah, in Charlotte, yeah, many times. Sarge was a great person.
Any fun memories from the younger days?
No, it's because Sarge was pretty straight laced. You know, it
He was a good fit
stuff.
for you then.
Yeah, he was pretty straight laced. He would tell you stories about other wrestlers and stuff, you know, and the funny stuff. But he was pretty straight laced guy, you know, military. When you was around him, you knew he was military. The military never left him.
Do you think it's fair to say, at the end, he's going to be one of the most remembered wrestling personalities of all time?
Oh, of course, still is.
Maybe not one of the greatest in-ring performers, but one of the most memorable characters in wrestling history.
Of
You
course,
think so? Yeah.
Of course,
I agree with you on that.
And well deserved.
All right, Tony, any final memories of old Sergeant Slaughter before we hit the break?
All I want to do, Sarge, along with the late, great John McCain, Sergeant Slaughter, thank you for your service.
Hood! That's an order, maggot. All right, fans, speaking of you maggots, we're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, it's more memories and legends as we wrap up another great episode.
It's the biggest event in live entertainment.
Welcome to WrestleMania!
But it doesn't come together overnight. Now, we've chronicled the journey of this incredible in-depth look at the year-long life cycle of WWE's biggest event. Go behind the scenes and get the inside stories straight from some of WWE's biggest superstars with exclusive candid interviews you won't find anywhere else. Creating the Mania, an inside look at how WrestleMania comes to life. Available now.
Wrestling fans, welcome back. We've had a lot of fun. We've talked WWE Evolution, Wendi Richter, Sergeant Slaughter. We're all excited about the Patreon channel launching so you fans can participate in 17 years of great in-ring wrestling, studio shoot interview DVDs, and these great memory and legend episodes we're putting together. But Tony, this one is maybe a little bit long overdue. A gentleman that, again, we noted we would have loved to have had here in the studio. A man I believe is a solid friend of yours from over the year. A gentleman that passed away back on July the 29th, Nikolai Volkoff.
Nikolai, in real life, was a professional boxer that transferred. He was a boxer and a weightlifter, not a power lifter, not a bodybuilder, but what we call a weightlifter. Now, a weightlifter, they do like the clean and jerk, where you lift the weights over your head. A power lifter, they do bench press, deadlift, and squat. Them the three lift. The snatch and the clean and jerk is weightlifting. That's what Mark Henry was, a weightlifter. When people say, do you lift weight? There's a difference between a bodybuilder, a weightlifter, and a power lifter. It's the movements you do. Power lifters lift nothing over the head. And he was a great weightlifter, very good with his hand. He was a good boxer. And he told me his love for America. Because he was raised up in Russia. He's originally from Russia. He's not make-believe. And he said in Russia, under a socialist government, it took anywhere between 12 to 15 months to get an apartment.
Really?
See, when the government runs everything got to go through the government. So when your name come up, it's your turn for an apartment. Now there may be 2,000 or 3,000 names ahead of you. They have to accommodate them 3,000 before they get down to your number. Wow. That may take a year. It may take 10. It may take 15 years. Here in America, what Nikolai said, he could go straight to the landlord and talk to the landlord, pay the landlord, move in the following month. Under a socialist government, everything goes through the government. The government have to put its stamp on everything. Nothing is said, nothing is done. Television is sanctioned. If the government don't approve of the program is not going to air. That's the difference between a democracy and the capitalism and socialism. Now, I know Nikolai really was, and I asked him one other thing. I said, what else that you learned that was different than living in America and living in Russia? And this is something else I never thought about until Nikolai brought him into. He said he had to get used to eating stale meat. In America, you cannot get fresh meat. You can't get fresh meat in America.
Explain, Tony.
Well, let's say I slaughter a hog in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That hog don't go from the butcher shop in North Carolina straight to my table in North Carolina. That hog gets shipped all around the world.
Okay.
By the time that hog hit my table, it's a month old. You take food, they would put dye in food to make it look. Go and buy a steak, wash it off under the sink like you should wash your meat. Why do it turn brown?
The coloring.
There's a coloring that makes it red, but it was red when it came out that cow. You see, most of the places in Germany, in Russia, where you're from, they use local produce. So that when you ate a cow, that cow only been dead for maybe a day at the most. Mm-hmm. At the most. Or it was just fresh killed. The meat was still warm. In America, that meat would stay in the freezer there for at least a month. It may be a month before they even ship it.
Wow.
They don't slaughter a cow and ship it the same day. They store it, and when somebody orders it, they send it to her. So you may be getting a piece of meat that is months and months old. You can't get fresh. When I became a bodybuilder, one of Mr. USA, one of my perks that I got along with it was some of the sponsors that did certain things gave me like a free supply of it. So one of the things with this orange juice company, I won't call the name, but I said, oh, your orange juice is 100%. He started laughing. He said, you can't buy orange juice, Tony. I said, but say 100%. He said, yeah. He said, we don't have to put 1% of oranges in it to call it 100%. There's a loophole to help the companies make money. If you sit down and take an orange and squeeze it out, how many oranges you think you have to squeeze to get a gallon?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Now, you think they're going to sell that to you for $2? Conversation, no. So everything, if you don't get all that you get, like supplements, like protein and vitamins, none of that stuff is FDA approved. None of it. You can't go to GMC and get any protein that is FDA approved. When I was bodybuilding, they tried to get us to sign a piece of paper to say that we wanted FDA approved, but of course, as bodybuilders, we fought against it because there was stuff that worked, and we were just afraid they're going to take it off the market. So it never passed. You look on the back of any supplement, they said this is not FDA approved. You look at how they do they used to hire guinea pigs to take their medicine. Now they tell you, oh yeah, you take this, great for back pain. I never felt better. And then they started naming all the side effects. But this can cause blindness. It can cause you to get deaf. If your throat swell up where you can't breathe, or you start to have a stroke, see a doctor immediately. Well, hell yeah, buddy.
All right, Tony, let's circle on back to the veteran Nikolai Volkoff as we've gone on to the world of
when you talk about
Russian
Nikolai,
meat and orange juice.
When you talk about Nikolai, this is what Nikolai talked about. He always did
had a great interest, yeah.
Where he did a comparison of how much butter, but that was his negative, the fact you couldn't get fresh food here. Everything is, it's not fresh meat. You can't get fresh meat in America, because of the shipping. But he loved the idea that we could speak so freely. Mm-hmm. He said his country you could not do that, and he just loved the freedom of speech. I think what impressed him more than anything that we could be so openly speak out against people, not And it don't even have to be true. It just was amazing to him that we could lie on each other and get away with it, you know, on media. You know, I could just write something right now and put it on social media about Dan, about you, about Hogan, about anybody, and to a lot of people, it'd be believable. And there's absolutely no consequences to my action. And he was always shocked by that. But Nikolai had another fear of being poor again.
Really?
Nikolai would stretch $1 from here to Kingdom Come. Me and S.D. Jones, we was over in Germany one time. And me and S.D. would order this big plate. They call it like a swine oxer. It's like a short shank, you know, a hog shank. Like you know, it's a shank, they call it. And it was that big around, you know, like a small ham. We had the potatoes and all the veggies. Me and S.D. we ate till we can't eat no more. Nikolai didn't order no food. He would wait till you finish with all your plates. Hey, Dan, are you going to finish that? I finished that for you. I hate to see food go to waste. And he would take that food and rake it on his plate. One time we teased Nikolai so bad. We said, Nikolai, you cheapskate, this is our last week here, and you're not going to get on the bus and buy your wife nothing, because all of us are going to go out, they're going to take us shopping, and we're going to buy our wife a gift. So everybody went out to get their wife and the kids something to gift. So Nikolai was the last one to get on the bus. And here Nikolai coming down the street, this little bitty brown bag, holding it just like that with his fingertip. Big smile on his face. He get on the bus. All right, you guys, I'm going to tell you now, y'all can't call me cheap no more. He opened up the bag, and everybody said he must have bought a diamond ring or piece of jewelry. Small bag, jewelry, right? Yeah. That's what we were thinking. He opened up the bag, he pulled out 2 postcards. Now, y'all can't call me cheap no more. I bought my wife something. Then he sat down beside SD. SD, I don't think she needs 2, do you? Maybe I could take 1 back and get my money. That's Nikolai.
So he was just saving everything he could.
Every penny. He would resole his shoes. He would never buy a new pair of shoes. He would buy a new sole for his shoe. The Iron Sheikh and Nikolai would come from the Meadowlands one night, and they were trying to make last call, and last call was at 2 o'clock. They got there right at 1:30. The Sheikh, Nikolai, come on, Nikolai, don't worry about parking the car. Leave it here, Nikolai. Leave the car here, Nikolai. We're going in to get a beer. Come on, Nikolai, leave the car. So Nikolai, but Sheikh, come on, Nikolai. Nikolai goes in with the Sheikh. They drink their beer. They come back, somebody stole the Sheikh and Nikolai bag. Now the Sheikh, we felt bad for because we told the Sheikh get fake medals, but Sheikh didn't want to do it.
Oh, yeah, they stole the real ones.
The real one, his Olympic medals and Pan American Games, the real one, because he would not wear the imitation. And Sheikh is in the dressing room. Sheikh, oh, they took me Olympic medal. They take me Olympic medal. They take me Pan American medal. They take me Iranian medal. They take the gift I get from the shore. They take everything. Oh, how I'm going to get it back. They take all the Sheikh and medal. The Nikolai sitting there watching. Sheikh, all right, Sheikh, that's enough of it. They took my hot plate. You don't see me crying. He said, they took my hot plate. They don't see me crying. Morocco had to hold the Sheikh back. He wanted to kill Nikolai. What are you getting mad about? I had to buy a new hot plate. Because he would not eat in a restaurant. Right. He would go to a grocery store and buy food and cook it on the stove.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, he traveled with a hot plate to cook his own food in hotels all over the country.
That's right.
For a guy that was making good money.
Yep. He was complaining one time to me and SD. He said, oh, I think I'm going to get a divorce. She's spending all my money. I said, what Sheikh? What? Who's spending all your money? Oh, my wife. She went out and bought a new couch. Well, Sheikh, the one who wanted the old couch. Well, every time she sits on the couch, a spring would stick her. The springs were coming through the seat. And I said, well, in case she sat, so she could sit in a different spot. And I said, well, what happened there? Well, the springs in that side stuck her too. He said, but I could have fixed that. She took that couch and she threw that couch out and she bought a new couch and he wasn't divorced from a better.
Well, I
couch.
tell you, the Sheikh And his wife,
a wonderful guy.
And his wife and I have had some interesting experiences. We're going to have to do a special episode dedicated to the Sheikh at some point, because just the memories him and I have created in this studio, literally, that have been seen all over the world and even on the Howard Stern show. I've got a lot of Sheikh stories, and I want to hear your Sheikh stories. I think that would be a lot of fun. But back to Nikolai, those two must have been an interesting travel team.
But Nikolai had a heart of gold. I mean, he never had a bad word to say about nobody. If you're doing something wrong, he'd come up and try to help you. He never missed a show. Tell you this one thing that Nikolai told Vince McMahon Jr. before he left. He was leaving his last week there. He said, Vince, I have a story to tell you. He said, there were these two crows, and they hadn't eaten, crow, black crow. And they hadn't eaten for days, and they were starving, for starvation. So one crow looked at the other crow and said, oh, we're never going to eat. I know we're going to starve to death. And the other crow said, ha, I have an idea. He said, you do? He goes, yes, follow me. So they used all the strength they had, and they crawled and scratched and got to the back of the barn. When they got to the back of the barn, the crow with the idea said, aha, there it is. So the other crow looked, and there was a great big 2,000-pound bull. He said, what the devil are you talking about? What, you want us to attack and eat the bull? He said, we could barely make it around here. He said, no, just wait a minute. So the bull took a big old crack, and the other crow said, aha, there it is, let's go. So they crawled over there, and they ate all the bull crap, and they felt strong again. And they flew to the top of the trees, feeling strong. The farmer came out, saw the two crows, thought they were going to eat their corn, and shot both of them, bang, bang. The moral of that story is, bullshit will get you to the top, but it won't keep you there. And he walked out the door. That's what he told me. Bullshit will get you to the top, but it won't keep you there.
Interesting. Well, he certainly had a roller coaster of a time there into the 80s, the success, into some of the struggles in the 90s when they ran into that legal trouble.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. All in all, Nikolai, was he stiff in the ring?
Yes.
Tough to work with?
No. But back in the olden days, that's what they wanted. The promoter would tell us, hit him, when you put a chop, let him hear it all the way up in the cheap sheets. Lay him in, kid. I mean, I don't know how many times I hear that. Lay it in, kid. They was wrestlers. Nikolai came along where you lay your chops in. When you put a hole on, you put it on nice and slug. Because there were stores where a guy thought he got hit but didn't hit but took a bump. Like they had this one, the cowboy, tall guy, wore cowboy boots, cowboy hat. Was it Cowboy Lane?
Yeah, there was a Cowboy Lane, yeah.
Real tall, about 6'4". Anyway, he was in a battle royal or something, and somebody threw a paper cup in the ring and hit him in the back of the head with a paper cup. And he took a bump over the ring because he thought one of the boys hit him. So he took a bump for the fan over the top rope because he thought one of the boys. So wrestling, see, I came along during a time where wrestling really, George Scott told me, you see all them people out there, Tony? I go, yes, sir. He said, everybody out there believe that wrestling is fake. It's your job
Make them think
to
it's
prove
real.
that it's not.
Yep.
So we did everything in our power to legitimize the sport. That's what kayfabe was all about.
Right, absolutely.
We wanted, and you remember there's one thing that every wrestler in the 50s all the way up into the 90s was asked. They don't get asked that no more. I used to hear it every day from every fan. Is wrestling fake? That was the secret to our drawing power. They didn't know. They didn't come to watch wrestling. They come to catch us. They would sit there and tell their son, oh, don't worry about this. This is all fake. This is all fake. But we were so slug, and we did our job so well that guy, one minute he's telling his son it's all staged, the next minute, kill him, bring his arm, bring his leg. He's the worst guy in the
Made him
building.
believe.
Make the people believe. Wrestling in my day was turning fantasy into reality. I hit Gene Anderson with a forearm one time. He said, with them effing big arms you got, there's hardly you can hit me, kid. So I drew back and said, oh, you want me to hit you? I gave him a big shot. He said, oh, that's great. I wrestled Larry the X Henry, Kurt Hennig's father.
Great guy. Love Larry.
And he said, look, kid, I'm going to back you up to the rope. I'm going to give you the elbow. You make the chest jump. Do that thing you do with your chest. I said, oh, okay. He said, the people are going to love it. So he backed up to that freaking rope. Lift that big. He had like a 20-inch forearm. You ever see pictures of him?
We've worked with him.
Really?
We were with him in New Orleans this
Oh,
year
he was a freaking monster in his younger days.
Oh, I remember this from videos.
Yeah, he lifted that big forearm and hit me in the chest, and I felt like a tree fell on me, knocked me right through the freaking rope.
Really?
Then he's getting mad at me. He think I'm doing it on purpose. He go, oh, kid, come on now. I told you, don't go down. Come on, you're killing the thing. So he draw that arm back again and whacked me and knocked me through the rope again. And I said, if you keep doing that, I'm not getting back up. He said, what's the matter? I said, you keep knocking me through the rope. And he said, oh, he said, how long you been in the business? It was just because he figured that I knew, that knew how he worked. That's how he worked. Big Bad John was another one that I used to tell you about. That was like a Gene Anderson.
Who's Big Bad John? That was his work name?
Yeah.
Not familiar with him.
Yeah, out of Kansas, you got to look him up on the computer. This was
what territory?
I met him in Kansas. He worked a lot with Vern Gagne stuff. He got shot in the shower. He used to carry 2 guns on him at all times.
Really?
Yeah, he was involved in some real heavy duty stuff with bikers and that stuff like that. But when I first started, they got you because of your toughness. They wanted to put the belt on me. For the first time, I'm going to become Georgia champion. And I rode to the building with Rufus R. Freight Train Jones. And Paul Jones, Wahoo McDaniel, Rufus, and Blackjack Mulligan, and George Scott, they're all talking about me. I'm sitting out front, but I got my ear to the door. They said, yeah. I didn't know they were talking about me at first. They said, yeah, before we put that belt on, how do you know if he could fight? He said, well, we said, no, he got a great amateur background, but can he fight? If he got into a real fight, can he fight? That was very, very important to them. So Sweet Hamster said, well, I got an idea. So he took me to this old biker bar. That when I walked in, it was a big Confederate flag. There was Stonewall Jackson over here and Robert E. Lee here. And they had a little round table, I guess, for strippers. And they had the most scampiest looking girl you want to see in your life. She looked like a crackhead. They didn't have crack then, but she, just to give you an idea of how she looked. She wasn't the most appealing looking. And all the guys was in biker outfit, and there were bikes on the outside and everything, pickup truck with the shotgun in it. And I walked, the Sweet said, I'll be back. They sat here and wait for me. He left me in there. I'm like what the hell they leave me here for? So this girl should come over. Hi, how you doing? And she'd be real nice. All of a sudden, she slapped me in the face, and she used the N-word. She said, nigga, don't you ever put your hand on me. I go, what? I didn't touch you. I saw the guy at the pool table. He set his pool stick down. Another guy, I saw him, he spinning his chair around, the stool, and them two started coming toward me. And I'm watching these two, and as I'm watching these two, some guy came up from the side of me and just drilled me. Boom. Knocked me out of the seat. I got up, I'm fighting all 3 guys. All 3 guys. I'm fighting for my life. I wonder, where the hell is Sweet? Why you leave me here? I'm pissed off. I'm fighting. My shirt all ripped, nose bloody. I got outside the thing. I'm waiting for them to come out the door. They came out the door, and then I looked, and there goes Sweet standing there with his arms folded like this. Go, hey, very good kid.
Passed the test, the initiation. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to haze you. That's why a lot of people didn't like Hogan at the beginning. He was never hazed.
Well, he had his leg broken by Hiro Matsuda. That was kind of an initiation of its own.
That's why they didn't want him in the business.
Really?
They didn't. That's what when they don't want you in the business. That's what they do.
They hurt you. Mm-hmm. You think that should be the way nowadays?
Well, but like Eddie Graham, where Eddie Graham, he was saying wrestlers to beat you up in the ring. A lot of promoters would do that. They had these shooters that when you got on land, they go to beat you up like the Briscoe tried to jump Ernie Ladd one night.
That story, I cried the
and
first
Ernie
time I
Ladd
heard.
took the jack out of the trunk of his car and hit both of them in the head because they tried to take him there. What's his name? Bob Root was known for that. He'd be the guy that go beat you up if you don't do things. They all had their little henchmen. You go with what's his name? Greg Gagne. and Pat O'Connor, they would do that to you.
Billy Robinson.
Billy Robinson was another one that would do that. We had a lot of guys that would take you in that ring and just beat the crap out of you. And then you had like Bill Watts. If you had a word between two guys having a word, like me and Hacksaw, had them that word in front of Bill Watts, there would have been a fight. Bill would have fired both of us if we didn't fight. He said, but after you fight, it's over with. Whenever there was any words in Bill Watts' territory, Mid-South, the two guys had to fight it out.
All right, well, again, back to Nikolai. Tough guy, boxer. He trained up with Stu Hart in the
Great
dungeon
family
to
man.
learn the wrestling. Great family man.
Never cheated on his wife. That's one guy I can say. He never was promiscuous, never chased the women. Didn't
Even though he was with old Cosrow on the road?
He didn't drink, never drank a day in his life, never did drugs, never smoked a cigarette. And even with cars, the Sheikh be drinking and smoking, Nikolai wouldn't do it.
Designated driver.
Designated, he would not. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, you couldn't convince him to do it. Clean living, just a great all-around person. But the thing I remember most about him is the fact that he said that we as Americans should appreciate our freedoms more. That's right. He said he would never go back to Russia because he never felt free until he came to America. He said he would never leave America because the first time he know what freedom feels like.
Interesting. Well, I know, Tony, when I texted you when Nikolai passed, you were very somber. You said you were going to miss him. Why are you going to miss Nikolai?
Because when I first started in this business, they said, Tony, if you had one friend, consider yourself lucky. I had SD, Nikolai, Jim Neidhart. A lot of guys retired with more money than I did. A lot of guys retired with more fame than I did. But very few retired with more friends than I did. The only person I ever hurt in this business was me.
You're a good soul.
I was my own worst enemy. I did everything I did to me, but I never did anything to hurt anybody's career. I did all I can to enhance your career, but I would do nothing to hurt another human being's career. You even ask me to stooge on people, do stuff, I wouldn't do it. I would tell, yes, I did it. Well, who was with you? Well, they got to tell you. But I'm telling you that I did, that I was involved. But the other person, I leave that up to him to tell you. And they said, well, Tony, you don't tell us we're going to fire you. I said, well, I guess I just got fired then.
You're a good, loyal friend, is what I consider you to be. But that's what these Memories and Legend shows are all about, Tony. I hear the music. It's going to be an exciting fall here in Boston Wrestling Sports.
We're going to get 18 inches of snow tomorrow.
Well, please, come on now. We haven't even hit Halloween. 2 episodes Survivor Series weekend. Because it's NXT weekend, we pull out all the stops. Not 1, but 2 episodes. The first episode, we have already taped it. Tony and I discuss his time from when he left WWF in 1986 through 1989, his trials and tribulations through Texas and Puerto Rico, and some very shocking personal stories. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's a very interesting episode, thought-provoking episode. And then, to take that time period from his life, we're going to transition into a second episode that we're going to be taping with the president of the Millennium Wrestling Federation, the esteemed Dr. David Reese. We're going to talk about how Tony became homeless, his life living in a park, finding his wife.
And me making love to green monkeys.
And then finding redemption, him beating his addiction problems. And it's a great story. I want Tony to tell it firsthand. 2 great episodes Survivor Series weekend. Then just a couple of days after Survivor Series, it's Turkey Day, it's Thanksgiving. And what does that mean here in the Millennium Wrestling Federation? It's going to be our 7th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Our friend upstairs, the man with the urn himself, Paul Bearer, we wish he was here, but we carry on the tradition we started in 2012. We're going to have a lot of fun on Thanksgiving night, too. So there's a lot for you to look forward to. Again, you got the Patreon channel. You know Tony's going to be coming back to this studio soon to produce more great content.
Did the doctor tell you about my IQ test?
What was the IQ test? And the negatives?
He said if my IQ was 1 point less, I'd be a banana. He was going to give me a blood test. I stayed up all night to study for it.
All right, wrestling fans, for
Bada boom, bada bang.
all the younger fans out there, we hope you have a safe and happy Halloween. For the Hall of Fame and Mr. USA Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marotti. Until we speak again, trick or treat.